disciplinary complaint against mixed martial artist Jake Shields. Mr. Shields, are you here today? Thank you. Do you have representation today?
No, sir.
Okay, you do understand you're entitled to have representation here today?
Yes.
And you're waiving any right to have counsel or representation. Thank you, sir.
I know it's not.
Mr. Eccles, go ahead and have a seat. We'll go ahead and go through the process and we'll walk you through it as we go through.
Chairman, my understanding was that Sam Awad would be on the telephone. He is a representative of Mr. Shields, but he's not representing him as an attorney for the purposes of this hearing, but he may want to comment at some point. He told me.
Mr. Awad, are you on the telephone?
Okay, that's fine. Commissioners, I can just quickly give you the basis of the case. Mr. Shields is a professional mixed martial artist. He fought on the World Series of Fighting card here on August 1 this year. He lost by a tap out in the third round due to a Kimura submission, and the submission itself is actually the basis of a complaint against his opponent, Mr. Palhares, whose case was continued at Mr. Palhares' request. So the basis of the complaint is that Mr. Palhares held the submission beyond the time which the referee had ended the contest. You're going to see a very short video of the last minute of the contest. And Mr. Shields, after Mr. Mazzagatti ended the contest, did then punch Mr. Palhares in the face. And so that is the basis of the case against Mr. Shields. So again, my understanding in having conversations with Mr. Awad is that Mr. Shields is here just to explain the circumstances, perhaps explain his frustration. He's not contesting that it was a violation of the rules.
To see it.
Mr. Shields, the Attorney General will present the case. After he presents the case, you'll have an opportunity to present your case or make any comments that you want.
Okay.
Commissioners will ask you questions. Before we get started, though, we're going to swear you in.
The only other note I would have, Commissioners, is that Mr. Mazzagatti has been given the number. I expected him to call in case you had any questions or wanted to know about the pre-fight instructions, the warnings he had given each of these fighters. To put some more context into this, if you wish, he's on the phone.
Mr. Mazzagatti, are you on the telephone?
Yes, I am.
Thank you, sir. We'll call upon you should we have any questions. Thank you for being here today.
And Mr. Eccles, those warnings and the description of those warnings were contained as part of the complaint. Is that correct?
Yes, specifically the warnings related to Mr. Palhares. And if the commissioners would, I'm sure you can view the complaint against Mr. Palhares, but if you would like, I can give you a brief background on that, just maybe a few seconds here.
Sure.
The complaint alleges that Mr. Palhares has a history of holding submissions past the point when his opponent taps out and past the point when the referee has ended the contest by physically touching Mr. Palhares and by yelling at him, stop, stop, stop. He has a history of cranking or holding the submissions. And Executive Director Bennett, upon learning of this fact, had instructed referee Mazzagatti to specifically warn Mr. Palhares in the pre-fight instructions. And Mr. Mazzagatti will testify as to his warnings in the Palhares case, but it's alleged in the complaint that he did specifically warn Mr. Palhares against holding a submission. He told him exactly what he was going to do in order to let him know that the opponent had tapped and what he was doing to end the contest, and that he did so in a very controlled manner in the dressing room, free of distractions, and he actually gave time for the translator to translate every sentence in order to make sure that his warnings were being communicated effectively to Mr. Palhares. Mr. Palhares was asked to give his answer that he understood the instructions, and he allegedly, you'll see in the complaint, he said yes, that he understood referee Mazzagatti's warnings, that if he held a submission, he could be subject to discipline. So I just wanted to put that in context for the commission. And Mr. Mazzagatti can answer any questions.
Okay. Can we swear in Mr. Shields?
Mr. Mazzagatti?
Mr. Mazzagatti?
Yes,
Yes. Do you swear to tell the truth before this commission?
I do.
Okay, and you understand the penalties of perjury if you don't, right?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want to swear in Mr. Shields at the same time?
Mr. Shields, do you swear to tell the truth before?
Yes, I do.
And you understand that if you don't tell the truth, you're subject to the same penalties of perjury?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you want to make a statement?
Oh, yeah. Can we go to the video first?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
So this is the third round of this contest. We're at the 3:23 mark. Contest is about to end within about a minute here.
Campeão. Não, vamos ali. Essa aqui. Guinho. Coisinha. Outra vez. Tem já vai. Esmago. Parado. Vai, safado. Aliá. Mais um.
Let me try to refresh it.
Maltratado de Shields. E o Toquinho vai abrir a caixa de ferramentas. Os cruzados de direita, de esquerda. Partiu. Pra cima. Vai. Yaca. Açúcar. Campeão dos Palhares. Sua perna direita. Deita nele. Voltou pra.
Let me try and do that again and call an IT person because I want you to be able to.
We'll go ahead and move forward at this point in time. Mr. Shields?
Yeah, I would do that. First off, obviously, I'd like to apologize for throwing a punch. It was out of complete frustration. It was a reaction after getting the arm, cranked. It's not excusable, but I think it goes far beyond just holding the submission too long. Throughout the second round, he'd repeatedly taken his thumbs and been gouging my eyes over and over. I was winning the fight until that point, and then by third round, I couldn't see my eyes. Both of them were completely gouged out. I was completely went in there. So the submission's bad, but it goes far beyond that, and I was just completely frustrated. And I'm asking, hopefully, get some leniency.
Thank you. Any questions of commissioners?
I have pictures as well. My eyes, inside my eyes, were completely, red and bloodshot. I had to go to eye doctors after. And
Mr. Shields, I would imagine it's probably difficult to watch the video of this. Is that right?
Yeah, a little bit. Being a lifelong martial artist too, having someone not respect a submission is one of those things. It's just, I fought 15 years, over 40 professional fights, and never anything that's happened. I've always shaken all my opponents' hands afterwards, gone and talked to their corners. I'm a very respectful martial artist, so this is not my character.
Did you know about Palhares' propensity then prior to going into this fight?
Yeah, he's famous for being a dirty fighter. The UFC's actually already kicked him out of their show because he's done this several times. He's also done this in submission matches as well, not just professional fights.
And did you have some pre-fight instructions then with the referee, Mr. Mazzagatti?
I don't think Mazzagatti was worried about me doing anything because his instructions were more that I was going to watch Palhares for being dirty. But the eye gouging was unexpected. Holding the submission was expected, but the eye gouging was something that Mazzagatti actually did warn him about the eye gouging, so something Mazzagatti had seen.
And tell me a little bit about your career, in the sense of how many fights have you had, whether or not that you've had any circumstances that have been similar to this, whether or not that you've had similar accusations made against you.
Yeah, I've had 40 fights, fought 16 years professionally. I have had one other situation where I've been into. It was also a very strange situation. Do you want me to get into details? We had a 3-month suspension because after a fight, I fought Dan Henderson. I don't know, he's a well-known fighter. We had a long 20-minute fight, and then after the fight, another guy who wanted to fight me jumped in the ring, who's a guy with a long criminal record, jumped in the ring, grabbed the mic, ripped it out of my hand, and then I kind of pushed him, and then a bunch of other people were in the cage, and kind of a scruffle broke out.
So was that in our jurisdiction?
No, that was in Tennessee.
You were involved in the incident with Mr. Diaz?
Yes, sir.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I didn't punch anyone there. It was a scuffle that I was involved with because I had fought. The guy came and ripped the mic out of my hand, and that led into a brawl to break out.
All right. And you had some involvement in the brawl?
I was the one that got the mic ripped out of my hand, and I kind of pushed the guy, tried to grab my mic back, and that's when the fight broke out.
Okay. And you got a suspension then as a result?
Yeah, just 3 months because it was.
Was there a hearing that was held on that, or was it simply issued then by the executive director?
It was just issued by the director.
Okay. we're going to see this kind of behavior from you again, even if it happens to you again?
Absolutely not. I mean, obviously, I wish I could take the punch back. It was just more of a reaction. But if it happened again, I would learn that it's not worth it. I don't want to have to go through the situation again.
What do you think it's going to take for you to have learned your lesson? In other words, what if in fact that we find a violation then of our rules and regulations, what do you think the appropriate penalty is for you in this type of circumstance?
For me right now or the future?
Right now.
I mean, I'm asking for leniency and to be off, but that's up to you guys. I just think the situation, hopefully, I know what I did was wrong. I know it was wrong. So it's really up to you guys. I'm just hoping. It's also, something's also financially cost me money. I can't fight right now because I have an injured shoulder. It's hard for me to teach jiu-jitsu, which is how I make a living. So I've already been negatively affected. The eye gouging quite possibly cost me winning this fight, not being able to see in the third round.
And the arm injury that you sustained, is it a result of this particular fight?
Yes, my elbow and my shoulder were torn in the submission from him not respecting the tap.
Thank you, Mr. Shields. Those are all the questions I have.
Thank you.
Questions from any other commissioners?
I'll try it again.
Oh, sure. I think all the commissioners have an understanding of what occurred during the fight. And I think we have seen significant video of it, at least I have. It's an unfortunate situation. We don't expect this to occur at the end of the fight. It adds to so many other situations that we do have to take these pretty serious, in the understanding that when we expect the decorum inside that ring, we expect it, we mean it. We're not playing around, so.
Mr. Shields, do you live in California, is that correct? Do you participate in any charitable or community activities?
I work with Be Human, it's an organization that works with inner city youth, and there's lots of poor children. I do sports programs with them to try to get them doing things, staying out of gang activity and stuff with Chief Sir.
And how much time do you spend doing that, let's say on a monthly basis?
I mean, it really varies. There's been times I won't do it for a few months, and there'll be times where I'm out there every week, several times a week.
With the injury that you have at this point in time, I would assume that you don't have any fights that are on your calendar?
No, nothing scheduled.
Okay, thank you.
Was the total purse, your show was $35,000, your win bonus was $45,000, and so it was a total of $80,000. So in the past, it seems in disciplinary hearings of this nature, we've done 15% of the purse and 10% of the purse. And in the second case where there was 10%, there was also a community service requirement.
One of the things that, are we in deliberation?
So do you have any further comments for the commission?
I mean, I suppose not. I do think this was a fight I was clearly winning until the eye gouging, so I was majorly affected for my win bonus, which is, you can't say if I would have won or not, but that's something that happened. The eye gouging, to me, when I'm not being able to see the third round, was a big factor.
But you did receive a $45,000.
No, I did not receive.
Oh, you did not?
I did not receive that. But
so you just had the $35,000.
Yes. So I
Sorry, I had
feel
information.
it may have already been, cost that from this fight, but.
Okay. Mr. Eccles, do you have any further comments?
No, just that you make a finding that it was a violation of the statute. We can't have the fighters take things into their own hands. That's why we have to be able to rely on, the referee to take care of this, because when something bad happens, the corners get in and everything turns ugly real fast. So, and I think he's acknowledged that.
Got it. So we'll now enter deliberation, where we will take the information you provided us, the information Mr. Eccles has provided us, have a discussion amongst ourselves to get to an outcome.
Okay.
So if you have any further comment, now is the time to make it.
I don't think so.
All right. Thank you, sir. We'll now enter deliberations. Comments from commissioners.
One of the things that, at least from my perspective, I don't think that two wrongs make it right, but at least I can understand what appears to be almost an involuntary reflex in that type of a circumstance. The thing I don't think that we can overlook is the fact that it is a violation, and I think that we can make a finding of a violation. I guess my suggestion concerning the penalty to be imposed on that is maybe a discussion about some enhanced community service that he should be required to perform, and to demonstrate then back to the commission that he has done that performance. At least that's what I would be supportive of.
I agree. Commissioner Avancino,
I'd favor that, Mr. Chairman.
do you have a recommendation, Commissioner Linville?
I would recommend that this athlete be required to serve 50 hours of community service, and that 50 hours of community service be performed in or near his place of residence, that he provides some type of documentation that he has performed that prior to appearing before us for a new license. If there's any fees and costs associated with this hearing, I would ask that he be required to reimburse those fees and costs. I don't know if there are any, but if there are, that be part of the penalty. I would
Second that motion.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Lundvall and a second by Commissioner Marnell for 50 hours of community service in or near his residence, that he provide documentation that the hours have been completed, and that the fees and costs related to this hearing are reimbursed to the state of Nevada. Do we have just one question I have. Do we want to put a time frame in which these 50 hours have to be completed?
6
Maybe
months.
before his next fight here in, scheduled in Nevada.
Okay.
I think we should put a time frame on that.
You can, how quickly can you do that, Mr. Shields?
With 6 months?
All right, 6
Would that be
months.
okay?
6 months, how's that?
Do you accept a friendly amendment?
That's
I do.
the time.
Commissioner Lundvall has accepted a friendly
Working
amendment.
with programs, would I be able to just work with the continuous same programs, or is it, okay?
Yes.
I just need to get someone to sign it off, and,
The head of the organization you're working with should attest to the.
thank you guys for understanding, and I'm sorry for.
We haven't voted yet.
Still
Hold
sorry
on.
for.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's no vote yet.
So the new motion is 50 hours of community service in or near his residence within a 6-month period. Documentation be provided to the commission office. Any fees or costs related to hearing are reimbursed to the state of Nevada. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Shields, for being here today.
Let's not see you
Fight
again.
another opponent next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll now move into item number 19, hearing a disciplinary complaint against mixed martial artist Nick Diaz.